Am I recording? Are you recording? You're recording.
So,
Two little pig flamingos.
Oh, that is so cute. Did I? Oh,
part 2 has begun.
Hello.
Hello. So in our last discussion, we had just departed when we had begun to introduce the topic of how to deal with dark entities.
What is a dark entity? Now that's the question.
It's
Is
a
it an
very good
aspect
question.
of you, or is it other than you?
I don't call them dark entities anymore. I've switched to calling them beings.
I call them little naughty me's.
Uh-oh.
Mini me's that are really naughty.
Taking responsibility, because if we're all one,
That's what it's about, isn't it?
yeah,
Taking responsibility. There is no hiding when you're awake and you're a light worker. It's them, it was them. They're dark. It's just like, nope, it's your reality. You're creating your reality. You're allowing that in your experience. But we have a consensus reality, but the more of us go, right, we're not having that in our reality. We're not thrown into your reality. We're come in my reality and I'm going to bring you in. We're going to deal with you face to face. I've cleaned up my reality. And then we're all cleaning up our reality, and woe and behold, there's not many of them out there. There's no, there's nothing else. The consensus of reality is our reality then. And that's what we're doing. We're making our reality the consensus reality. Is like, if you're dark, okay, come here, we'll deal with it. We'll take responsibility for that. So that's what I think it is anyway. That's my perspective.
It really translates very easily to the world of just relationships. Like if you're thinking that, oh, those people over there are thinking this and this of me, and they're judging me. Well, if you've done enough work, you know that that's projection and that there's an aspect of you that's judging you in that way and labeling you that way. And so to resolve that judgment, you own it first, and then you shed compassion on it. And just like a little kid, you just pick them up and you hug them and hold on a second. Hey, Stuart, there's someone at the door. Can you get it?
It's the CIA come to arrest you. Come on in.
Who knows?
Paula, what have you been doing?
We know what I've been doing.
We've got to. Do you know what? I think the most important thing to remember is what we're doing right now is to have fun and laugh at the most serious topics that you can think of and the real life shit that we go through. If you can be in the middle of all that crap and laugh at it, and you change that vibration instantly. I used to be a security guard, believe it or not, looking at me like this, the size of me. But my boss, I'll just make sure I don't use his real name, Marv. That's what he's known by. He was a Marine in the Royal Marines, a drill sergeant. But I worked for IBIS security, so we used to go into these long weekenders and I used to do security, and we'd have groups of Scousers, people from Liverpool, drunk, a gang, and Scottish one time, and they were all about to kick off and start fighting. And Marv said, oh, you just go in and deal with it. And I had to crawl on the floor between all these guys about to fight. And I just stood up in the middle of them while they're all in all this aggression and drunkenness and they were about to kill each other. And I just put my hands up and I just said, which one of you do I have to pull your trousers down and smack your bottom, or who's going to buy me a drink? And they all just looked at each other, looked at the size of me, comprehended what I just said, and laughed their arses off and all bought me a drink, which I wasn't allowed to drink because I was working. But I could see the cogs of the wheel because I broke that aggression cycle. I just, in that minute of, look at that little girl. She said she's going to pull her trousers down and smack my bum or buy her a drink. She's quite nice looking. I might buy her drink. Or she's really going to kick off, and she's in that uniform for a reason. She's not sent all those men in. She's come in on her own. She must be able to hold her own, and I don't want to be embarrassed by her little girl. So, and I could see all this and I feel all this energy, and the energy just swapped, and they all shook hands, and and all were laughing about it for ages and ages, and they made friends over me. And it's just like, that's the light worker's job, is to go in that situation in between that horrible two sides fighting and go, okay, whose bum do I have to smack? Or who's going to buy me a drink? You've got two options here, because it's either going to go, I'm going to kick your ass, or you're going to be nice. But either way, something's got to change in the situation, and that's a light worker, and that's what our job is to do. I've had to do that as a job in real life, so I've got real experience, and it's no different working with entities than it is with real life men in front of you, drunk and about to fight.
I'm just hearing Mike Myers' voice from Austin Powers saying, and I could just see us saying this to to the Queen or the dark entities or the CIA or the deep state, saying, "You're headed the right way for a smacked bottom."
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yes, if any of them are watching, just know they can look me up if they don't know who I am. IB Security and Marv from the Marines.
You just come to your senses, or you're headed the right way for a smacked bottom, and you know it.
And you'll know it. There's a few bottoms I would like to smack. Actually, I don't like physical violence, but I would like to severely reprimand a few people with my mouth. Give them a good dressing down, as we call it in England. Tell them a few home truths.
Yeah,
saying that I've got a helicopter.
Really?
Oh my
that's
God.
hilarious.
Hi guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is. Hold on. Oh, it's not stopping to say hello or landing or.
Oh, that's
Never mind.
hilarious.
Damn! I wanted some action. I've been out of 3D action like that for a long time.
So I got a question or something to. We're talking about seeing dark entities and so forth and how to deal with them, but not everybody sees them. Will they eventually, when they're waking up more, see these? Or it's not?
You've got to realise when you say entities, Paula, it's a very scary word. It's a very scary word to anybody. An entity, it's a dark entity. It's like, oh my God, it's this ghost. It's a dark entity. Anything like that is woo-woo and scary shit, especially when you're waking up. It's an aspect of you in your reality. It's your nightmare. You've allowed it in there. It's your projection. Whatever you think it is, it is. It's like the Lost Boys in Alice in Peter Pan, where they can imagine an ice cream. Well, you can imagine a monster just as much as you can an ice cream. Whatever is going on in your consciousness at that minute in time, you're low. You'll attract the same energy. It's an energy. It's not an entity. It's an energy with all those thought forms and all that conscious belief that's attached to it. That's making it a bit of a force. So it's like a storm. It's like you can't have a storm without all these different elements attaching to it, making it brilliant and brilliant. And the more things are going, the bigger and scarier it's getting. You've got to go in and go the opposite way around and calm that storm down and just see just a little raindrop now. It's not so scary. But it's first of all, you've got to understand that if you're in that low vibe, you woke up in a bad mood, you've hit your toe, you already dropped your energy, you're already like you're already like in that. So it's just like that is what the energy is, and it's floating around out there. There's 100 people in your town just had a bad mood, and all that energy's collecting. You'll attract that to you. The best thing you can do is go, come here, let's deal with you, because then somebody else who is not maybe as awake as you, as aware as you, can deal with that. Your job is to clean that up, not to push it away. Okay, so it's not an entity, it's an energy. It's an energy system. We're in a holographic matrix, and it's a vibrational match.
Right. It's just to try to explain it for people that are not aware of this type of thing. If this is
whatever they think it is, it's their belief structure that's attaching that label of that to that.
So it's a lot of it's been conditioning.
Yeah, it's whatever this reality is, whatever you believe it is, it is. Whatever belief structure and thought form you've put on that, it is. That's it. Vibration attracts vibration. I mean, we're light workers, and we will wake up and think, "Oh, I'm on the shit timeline again. I'm on the brown ray. What's going on?" But we don't now see it as, oh, we've done something wrong. We've dropped down in frequency, or we're being attacked. Get our boxing gloves on. We're here to party. Let's go. we know that we've got a job to do. So sometimes the light workers are going, oh, I'm attracting this entity or this energy or whatever, I've done something wrong. It's like, no, it's you've allowed yourself to lower your frequency to deal with that.
Wow.
You can't deal with it from up on a cloud going, oh, isn't that pretty down there? Look at them, look at that shit mess down there. You've got to jump down and get in it and clean it. And understand if you're a light worker and you wake, that's your job. I don't care whether you're, Lala and rainbows and Skittles. We've not got there yet. That's where we're going.
Well, it's exactly like the Matrix when they plug in. They're like, okay, we're all going in, and this is what we do at night.
Exactly.
And it's when you're on the shit timeline, you're like, you've come in, and with our group, what we've observed is that more often than not, most of the 4 of us are on the shit timeline at the same time for the same amount of time. And when you're there, you're dealing with people and you're dealing with aspects of yourself, maybe in a, I don't know, lower timeline where, your shit tends to come up, but it's coming up for clearing. And it's like when you're down there in that matrix, like Neo's driving and he goes, I used to eat at that restaurant. And it's like he's recalling a time in his life when that was his reality, that was real to him. And when you enter into that matrix with other people, it's like, this is their reality. This is what's real for them. And we go in knowing the jig is up. I know that the dark and the light and the drama and the pathos of the deep state and all of this, it's like, we know the true nature of it. And it's
and calling it out in our truth and we see it. We've got eyes on you. We see the truth. And when you see the truth, that's unveiling the truth. Because when a light worker sees that truth and it's in your consciousness, I can see that's bullshit. Yeah. That ripples out, and everyone else around, whether they know it or not, their higher selves going, yeah, that's bullshit. Yeah, that's bullshit. Yeah, it's 100th monkey. Yeah, that's bullshit. And we're all looking at the bullshit and going, who's going to clean this bullshit up now?
Yes, and you can have that effect. So yeah, you taught me this, Annette. You can have that effect when you're watching a video, and or you see something through someone else's eyes, like, oh yeah, when someone was watching my live video and he was stuck at DIA, he put my eyes on DIA. In that moment, I was like, oh,
and mine, I was there watching it as well. It's like we're all like, okay, look what needs to be done there. Let's jump in.
Yeah.
Let's clean it up. Yeah. We're not scared to jump in and do it, and you shouldn't be scared to jump in and do it. So you've done your inner work, you can't be scared of yourself, and that's from a higher perspective. But we can't. People go, oh, we want to be all love and light and live in this 5D. Well, you're in 5D, but we've got areas of poverty and areas of shit down here that we've got to deal with. We can't be living in our bloody castles and lording it and sitting by us, drinking margaritas to go, oh, isn't it lovely? I'm going to ride my rainbow unicorn and love and light. And then down the road, they're all living in poverty and killing each other and drugging and whatever. It's like, no, you've got to go down there and frigging clean it out. Right? Anybody's not got home, get in my castle. I'm cleaning this place up and making it as beautiful as that place. That is the job of us, to turn it all 5D, not just one aspect of it.
Exactly. We wouldn't be any better than the elite if we didn't.
Exactly. I was just thinking that it's exactly. This is an all-inclusive resort. Exactly. Everybody and everything is accounted for.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's called paying it forward as well. It's like somebody does something nice for you, I pay it forward. It's like, I've learned that. I mean, Feel Good the other day, he posted my picture, which I just did because I had to get rid of my download. And then I got so many people come and look at me. And it's just like, okay, thank you for subscribing. I like your channel. You've only got a few views. I'm going to pass you on to a few more. And, we're sharing. We may not seem like we're doing a lot. I mean, Chana, you were saying you don't feel like you're doing a lot. You share so much of the posts that we've not got time to share because we're so busy doing the other stuff that, we didn't have people like you and other people posting and sharing and commenting and liking. It's not for ego, the liking. It's to get eyes on it, get eyes on this. It's important that you watch this or read this because it's important that it may not be for you, but it may be that you share it and somebody else in your circle needed that message.
Exactly. Like I said one day that just said, hey, I can't understand it, but I'm being guided to send it. So maybe one of y'all need it. And so, yeah, and you were like, thumbs up, like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know it all. We just get it as, it's like every day we wake up, it's like, what timeline are we in? Where are we? What's going, and get yourself stable. What do we need to do? And every reality works slightly different from the next one. It's like what worked in that reality manifestation comes easy. It may not work in this one.
Exactly.
so easy. So we don't know everything, and we've got to
Right.
realize we don't know everything, but as a collective we do know everything. But
And
So
we've
the
learned
trick is to
that.
share.
what's kind of
Exactly.
popping up in my head right now is the tendency in the 3D to see black and white because we want to feel safe, and there's a lot of fear in the 3D. And so I'm thinking of actually the Lightworker community and the names that we shall not name here, but like, say you're following somebody and then you get kind of a brown ray feeling from them, or you learn something about them, or how they talk shit about someone else that you follow and that you like. And, does that, like, there's someone that I was following who talked shit about somebody who's very precious to me, who's in the public sphere. And so I went into discernment about it because I was like, I like the information that this guy has, but he's clearly wrong about this thing. And my guides said 90% of what he shares is right on. And so that was kind of like this entryway into my beginning to understand that we've all got stuff that we're working with, and being able to see as a light worker, being able to look at somebody and say, you're wrong about that, your discernment is off, that helps them come to the light sooner because you've got eyes on it and you're in discernment. But it doesn't mean that they're a lost cause or that they're being taken over by entities. They've got their own dance that they're doing. Who knows why? And who are we to say they should or shouldn't be having that dance? Discernment is extremely important, but I just thought it would be really interesting to speak to this because I mean, and even characters like oh, my guides are saying not to say it, but even in the
Well, I've been
UFO
guilty of
community,
it.
any what?
I've been guilty of that when we sat there, and I've just snapped, and not because I've been in my head and not my heart. I've just made an observation, which is like, and then later I was like, I've taken that back and thought, I was wrong about that. I'm sorry. I've done that to you, Sharon, a few times, haven't I? It's like, oops, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean that. I was just in that headspace at that time. That's what I was working on, and it's just like, sometimes you've got to be willing to say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And allow them to change. And we're all changing. We're not the same person we were a minute ago, let alone yesterday or a year ago. Sorry, go on,
Right.
Paul.
Right, and people are continuing to evolve on their course. Okay, they're telling me I have permission to use David Icke's name. So while we've been talking, somebody forwarded a video to me from David Icke, and we talked about him in a conversation recently, and he was talking shit about somebody else in the community that I love, and that person said, "Yeah, he sent me death threats." And I was like, "What?" Because David Icke has been such a fantastic public figure who was a pioneer with more guts and courage to speak truth to power than anyone I know on the planet had more guts and courage. And yet something feels a little off about him lately. And so,
Well,
okay,
maybe he's going through his funk as well.
yeah,
Sometimes when you're working with those forces and that energy that you get so surrounded, it immerses you, and he's not got he's got so much, he's not able to clean it off himself. It's like, well, because we should go in there and take a bit off him and pull those layers off him and get him back to himself, because he's obviously, that's our job, to help
right.
other light workers when they've got too much to carry.
Right,
He
right. And
will
didn't we
go.
do that for our dear friend last week who showed up etherically on your doorstep because he just needed a little time out, and the four
Yes.
of us just took him in and held him and cared for him, and we had seen that his videos were a little off, and then they were different. They were very different the next time they shared a video because we
Exactly.
offered love and compassion and words
Because
of wisdom.
you've got to allow for another aspect of them to come in if that one's not working or that one needs a break. And it's like, maybe that aspect of David Icke has got too much on him and he needs to deal with that, and maybe we can take a bit off him and clear a little bit of his load for him, and then
Right,
to allow a higher aspect of himself to come back down and think, I was a bit off with that. But he's working from his ego. His ego is doing that. I mean, so I've said things about other people's channel, but it's usually as an observational point that I think this is what they're going through. But it's obviously I'm going through it as well, but to observe it, as I've been through that, to be able to observe that level.
mm-hmm.
So you've got to check your own energies every day, I think, just to make sure, know where you are. And then when you're seeing something coming in from another light worker or someone giving you a message and you're thinking, oh, that's not right, check if it's yours first. You know, and it's like, oh, is that me? Is something I need to work on? Oh, okay, it's something I need to help him with or her with.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and what you said earlier is such a great discernment or instructional piece is that when you're wondering about this, also, if you're getting a little distressed about it, just say, am I in my head or my heart? And the head is a tool to, kind of organize information, but the information will come here. This is where the truth is. So, yeah, and love is always the answer. It's like just send love to these people. Yeah, somebody that we've kind of had eyes on came into my field a while back and he said very courteously, I see what you're doing and I don't like it one bit. And he left very courteously. And I've been contemplating that ever since. And I'm like, okay. And then I felt like my guides were saying,
Oh,
you've
yeah.
done your bit.
Yeah. Imagine his surprise when I turned up and put my hand on his shoulder and said, I've got eyes on.
Uh-huh.
Which I did. But yeah, I know
Yeah.
exactly who you're talking about.
Same
Yeah.
here.
But yeah, it's like workers, that is our job really. It's just like we see and feel a friction, or maybe somebody's got some really brilliant truth and you want eyes on that. You want all the light workers to get that knowledge, or,
Yeah.
there's something funky about their knowledge. They're giving 95% to draw them in, but that 5% is what's hooking that
Right.
energy into them and drawing them back into the matrix rather than help them out. And that is because they need help. It's just like, okay, eyes on. That's what we
Right.
call it.
Right.
Eyes on. That's all it is. It's
Yeah.
eyes on. It's all you need to do. No nasty comments, no nasty likes or unsubscribing. It's just
Yeah.
eyes on.
Right.
Watch and feel.
Right. Yeah. I want to share briefly an experience I had. So this is another figure who's made it very clear to me in the etheric that he doesn't want me to say his name publicly, but we were very close in a past life. Um, and uh, and at one point I was in Sedona getting downloaded with our past life. It was overwhelming and it was a shit ton of grief work. And so I was processing and processing this grief work until I just felt like I couldn't do anymore. It's like, okay, I've done my work around this event when we got separated in the Galactic Wars, but I'm in the Gate Wars, but
I can hear you,
I'm
Chana. Sorry.
that's okay.
It's like you can't see me, but I can hear you. We're being naughty vaping.
Oh,
Sorry.
so
Sorry,
so
I've
then I
cutting you
went
off.
onto his personal Facebook page that night, and he had posted something that said he had been invited up on ship at one point for kind of like a retreat and a healing and an attunement, and he wasn't ready because he wasn't actually doing his work. He'd been on some prescription drug, and it really backtracked him. Like his wife said, "You were like 10 years, like you were 10 years ago. Your vibration was so low." So it took him some time to recover, and it's like he sort of got behind with all of his processing. And so they came in and they said to him, "Yeah, you missed your appointment, but we have been calling in all of your team, people like me, to help you with your emotional work and to pick up the slack." And now he's just back. He's just back. His vibration's high. He's more natural. He's more in his own body. He's more cheerful. So it's like that was him going through the waves, and and we got called in to help out.
That's our job, isn't people are going, what do I do? And what's my job? What's my purpose? We're multi-dimensional for a reason. We've got multiple tasks where a light worker goes down and they're working on stuff. There's a slot to be filled, even if it's just for that day. You jump in, it's like, okay, I've worked on my stuff today. I've done my downloads. I've cleared that. I've done my energy work. I've cleared that. It's not. I'll jump in. What needs to not what look for things. It's like there's always someone that needs your help. There's always some energy to be cleared. There's always something to do. We're supposed to be able to multitask at all
Mm,
sorts. And it's like when you go to sleep at night. I mean, this is our holiday. This is where we come for our break. This is R&R. What we do
right.
upstairs is a lot harder than this.
Wow.
Very
So
true.
when somebody pops in your head, like one day Paris Hilton popped into my head all day, or like say a certain artist or song or whatever pops in your head, and I didn't figure out until the next day that I was supposed to be sending her love and light and healing. And when I finally got that message, I looked at her and I saw a 3-year old. I saw that she was stuck in some way psychologically at age 3, and some trauma obviously had occurred. And So, yeah, if you find yourself sort of obsessing about somebody, it's like that's for a reason. You're getting a hint, and chances are you are working on a higher level with that person.
Wow. I didn't even know that because I'll have names come to me and I'm like, why do I keep getting this name? And I
Right?
just don't know. I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, or even people like David Bowie or Freddie Mercury, they pop through and you just get this blast of cosmic love, and you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad you're helping from the other side.
Hmm. And not all of us can do what you all do, and that doesn't mean we're not working. I, I want other people to know that too. I do a lot of work upstairs. I don't know what all I'm doing, but I know stuff is being done.
Mm-hmm.
I've had dreams of rescuing people and removing them from a situation. And when I heard Annette's uh, interview with Alexandra years ago, that's when I clicked and thought, okay, I knew I was onto something because my dreams were a lot about rescuing people and bringing them out of situations. And I would tell my husband, there's something to this. I know I'm doing something in my dream. This isn't just your regular dreaming. And then
Mm.
when I heard Annette's video, it was like, or her interview, it was like, oh my God. So that opened up for me the idea that, yeah, we're busy doing stuff. We may not always know what it is. And we may not see and hear the way you all see, but we're still being effective and we're still doing things. And I just want people out there to know that if they're not where you all are, that does not mean you're not doing things because I'm still learning. I remember one day I was
Well,
drowning and so proud of myself. And I was telling Annette, "Oh, you're sending." I said, "I'm just letting all this stuff go, and I'm sending it into the earth." She said, "So basically, you're just shoving it under the rug. It's supposed to be leaving out of you and not going into the earth." And so I had to relearn that. We're all learning. This is a learning deal. That none of us are going to be on the same. We're not all. We're all divine, and we're all doing things, but we don't all have to have the same gifts that each other's got in order to be effective.
mm,
You can just see a person out in public and sense that they need something from you. And you just walk up and if it's nothing but give them a hug or buy their lunch or whatever it is, you've done
mm.
something for that person. And that's
Oh, and
when
the
I go out in
ripple,
public. Yeah,
the
and
ripple
it does.
effect from that one act of kindness and the endorphins that it releases, even witnessing an act of kindness releases endorphins.
How
Yeah,
many
so
people? Go ahead. Go ahead.
it's, what if instead of thinking of certain light workers being on a higher level, what if it's just a matter of we're all on the same level, we're all divine beings? It's just a process of remembering. I mean, that's kind of how I think of it, is like,
See the
sometimes someone knocks your socks off and they have no clue who they
see the
are or
way
how.
that I'm seeing this, and I think Mr. Haroon's mentioned this undercover boss a few times, but this is what I feel like it's like, and it's like we're all in dimension, we're all having a meeting, a team meeting. It's like, okay, this job needs to be done, this job, this job, this job. Who are you playing today? Are you going to be the janitor? Are you going to be the teacher, the headmaster, or the student, or the bully? Which one are you going to be today? What are you going to do? And it's like getting an apprenticeship. It's like when I was a hairdresser, you have to spend a year sweeping the floor and taking out the rubbish and making the teas and coffees and sweeping up the hair and doing all that before you even get to pick up a pair of scissors and a comb. And and then you move on, you progress on. So it's like that person who sat there doing the nails and owns the shop has done all those lower levels, but I prefer to be on the floor sweeping because you get to see more, you hide in the background, and you can be unwitnessed while you're witnessing. And it's better to be the janitor than the CEO.
Mm,
So
Oh
it is
wow.
like undercover bosses. And that's
mm.
why we're all put in these positions. It's like we've not been put into great big corporations or big rich families. We're all on the same level.
Oh,
Right.
and just think of the one time you said we were
So we put
sponges, like, etheric and energetic sponges. And have you ever woken up and you don't feel quite right until you have a big emotional release? The only way I know what I've been doing is if
I'm just going to
I
put
have a
my
big
light on.
emotional release. But yeah, we soak up all this stuff because we're helping. It's like not everybody can do this. Not, I mean, there's so much pain, so much trauma, so much garbage out there. And it's not garbage, it's tender, wounded feelings. And we go out there, who knows what we do at night or how this works, but then I wake up and then I have a really good cry, which is just like it's just like sending divine elixir through my emotional body, and it comes out in the form of tears, and then it's all gone and it's dealt with. So, that's when I think of myself as a janitor and just, that's huge. That is absolutely huge.
It's like I said about homeless people, and I remember my daughter once saying, I told you girls, when you come to town, Mum, all the homeless people seem to disappear. Is your energy get rid of them? I said, no, because they don't need to do the job while I'm there, because I'm holding the light, I'm giving them a break. But sometimes the unseen in the streets are the ones, are the angels being homeless, sitting in the streets holding the light, witnessing what's going on, and taking all that bad energy that you're feeling. You're looking at them, if you actually see them on the street for you, they're cleaning up. So,
Right.
So look twice when you're seeing a homeless person. It might be an angel just sat there doing its light work, observing.
I'll go sit down and talk to them. I go sit and talk to them. And
Oh,
people
that's
drive by looking
beautiful.
like crazy. Are you crazy? And I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you here? What can I do for you?
Oh,
I've always done that. I had people tell me, don't you dare stop and give them any money. And I'm like, don't you dare tell me what to do. This is my knowing.
yeah.
And what they do with it is their business. But they are going to be acknowledged by me.
Oh,
If
And then,
I
yeah,
I give them books, I don't give them money, and I usually have a slot a lottery ticket in it, and if they read near the end, they'll find the lottery ticket, and hope the universe, if the universe wants to reward them, they'll let the universe do it. But it's just,
that's
there you
hilarious.
go.
wow. Wow. I usually will give them something to eat and some money if I can. I mean, I
My
was
mom
sitting.
would give
Go
my
ahead.
mom would give water and canned goods on her way to church. She would go through
Yeah,
downtown Denver to get to church, and she'd always stop at the various places and hand them out the window. Her car was always stocked with this stuff to give to them.
works.
And she said one day, I can't tell you how or why I knew this, but I knew that guy was an angel. I
Yeah,
just love how she described that. It's like, yeah, you just know. You get this, ooh,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it says more about our consciousness in society that we've got homeless people in a
mm,
not a third world country. I think it's disgusting about our
yeah,
society that we have homeless people and people who are going to food banks. And in fact, we've got third world countries as well. That's disgusting for our level of
Oh, that's
conscious
crazy.
awareness. I think it's disgusting. you
yeah.
know,
Yeah,
hopefully when we all wake up and we've done our job, we get together as a collective and we don't allow that anymore. That's where we're headed. It's not to build, it's not to go to a brand new earth that's all spinning. We've got to clean up the shit mess we've made here before we get given anything else. You think the universe is going to give us something else when we've trashed this house and now, okay, here have a palace. It's like the universe saying, fuck off, clean your mess up, clean
Yeah,
every single room up, redecorate it, put new carpets in, put all your homeless people in there, feed them, give everybody
yeah.
an occupation that they love doing, a hobby or something creative that's their passion. Then next level stuff will start happening. But we've got to come
Yeah,
together
and
to
the
do that.
compassion, in order to exist on this planet, I think it's just, I don't think it's necessary, but I think it just happens in order to not get overwhelmed. We harden ourselves against it. And I've been watching this show on Netflix called Call the Midwife, and there's an episode where there's this old woman who's just disgusting, urinating in the streets and like no teeth and just icky, icky, icky. And because of the NH, National Healthcare in the UK, which has also been reprogramming my brain and saying, he just went to hospital and didn't have to pay for that. Oh my God!
yeah,
Imagine that reality. But anyway,
yeah.
so they find her and they take care of her. And this one nurse at one point says, it's my job to take care of you. That's what I'm here for. I am here to serve you. And so, they got this woman they had to get her to trust them first because she was like a little wild animal. And then they
Yeah.
took her boots off, which she hadn't taken off for over a year, and, gave her a bath and put nice clothes on her, and then began to hear her story. And then the emotional healing began. And, oh, you went into a workhouse and you lost you got separated from all of your children. And we found public records that they all died, but here's where they're buried so you can have closure. And it just really began to hit me that, every single person, every single soul, every single event, every single little memory that you have. I mean, just that little memory coming up for me of when I was in high school and I was performing with that group, and I needed to sit down, and forgiving myself for the fact that I had to sit down because I was like, oh, I have flat feet. And yeah, I was fatigued. There was a reason I did that. So even that little memory needed to be cleared. So, yeah, not to overwhelm listeners with all of this, but think of it more as the big blanket where the mother hen gathers in all of the chicks and none of them are left behind. No one is left behind.
That's where we're headed. And
Yep.
it hurts my heart to see people walk past a homeless person and not even acknowledge that they're
Oh,
there. It's that
the
hard,
invisibility. Yeah.
just like, are you kidding me? But, you know, it's all going to change. It
But
is going
we're
to.
expecting a magic wand. We're
Yeah.
expecting, oh, Buddha's going to come, Muhammad's going to come, whoever's going to come, the aliens are going to come. They're all looking at us from other levels and going, we're not coming cleaning your shit up for you. You've not learnt your lessons. You've been given a beautiful, beautiful, sparkling planet. Look what the fuck you've done with it. You've tried to kill it. Now
Right.
we've sent you all this extra help to help you to clean it up.
Right.
They're
And
going to help you
we
clean it
are the,
up, but you've
we are
got to
the
do the work
Jesuses.
too. Yeah.
We are the aliens.
We're the
We are the
janitors
blue
that have come to
avians.
clean up the planet.
That.
Yep.
We've come and incarnated to experience the human experience, to know why the choices they've made. We understand that, but we've still like, okay, I've lived a human life. I've had no money. I've had no home. I've had all this crap, but I've still managed to pull myself out of it. Why can't you? I'm still managing to love everybody with my heart, and if I can do it, you can do it. We've all been dealt the same cards when we were born. I don't care what vagina you fell out of.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a royal one, a bloodline one, a poor, we've all been dealt a life here. And
Precious human
that's
birth.
just, I don't know whether I used to think it's just me that is there only me on this planet that thinks this way, but obviously there is more people on this planet that want to see each other as family and work together. It's like, if I wouldn't see one of my children or one of my nieces and nephews being treated like some of the humans on this planet are treated, but they're still family. It's I feel it makes me enraged. It's disgusting. And then we can't, that's just talking humans, how we treating our wildlife and our oceans, and oh my goodness. And the planet still loves us enough to keep us on the planet without killing us this time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we've been given a second chance and we've all come here to assist. And I just hope for humanity's sake that they do all wake up, because it's called an eviction notice and they've been served.
Mm.
We're
The
getting there.
landlord or landlady is back in town and she's literally just given them a notice to evict.
Right.
Wow. We're getting
Thanks. So that's just come through. Notice to evict has just been served.
Oh, I love that.
there. Me too.
You've trashed your house, you've not paid your rent, you've pulled down the walls, you've killed everything in sight, you've been given chance after chance, we've sent you the clean-up crew, you've got rid of them all, and you're still sitting in your
Well,
shit.
I think it's the frog in the water is going to be boiled if it's turned up 1 degree every hour, that kind of thing. And I think um, we've just gotten used to it. And in order to cope with it, you have to, I don't know, kind of go blank on a certain amount. But I think this is a time of awakening and awareness, and becoming conscious literally means becoming conscious of everything. What is a dark entity? Who am I really? what have I done to that tree because I just bought that plastic product, and becoming conscious
It's
of
taking
everything.
responsibility. If you're awake, for being conscious, you can't stop looking at what everybody else is doing and look at what your choices are and your consciousness is choosing to allow.
Right,
You can't
right.
change.
It's what
It says one person can't change the planet, but one person can change your own bloody reality. You can change your own reality right now
you
just
know
by thinking differently.
this really flipped me on my head. I was listening to that QAnon interview, and those of us following Q, listening, kind of we kind of think about, this is us. This is about us taking down the deep state, and it's there's duality here and yada yada. But he said we are choosing. Like the guy would ask him the question, well, what about 5G? And he's like, well, we are choosing this. We are choosing to be on our devices. We are choosing to pollute the planet, and we continue to choose this. And it just hit me between the eyes. It's like I can decide to not choose this right now in this moment.
But there are some things that have been allowed to happen to grow and learn from. Maybe we've allowed the planet's oceans to be radiated and things like that to happen, so we have a new generation of children coming up to see that that's wrong and to create a solution for that. Maybe there's another planet in the universe somewhere that could benefit from that technology that they come up with, or there's always it's like nature always gives. For every poisonous plant there's always a cure plant next to it. For every problem on the planet, she's allowed it, she wouldn't allow it otherwise, that we've created. There's always a situation, there's always something to be learned and to be grown from that, to expand the consciousness. I pulled a card from the 9. These are Shirley Batty's little owl cards, and this is Brotherhood of 9. Sorry, I was really guided to do this. So it's number 54, which is a 9. So it's definitely from the 9. So it's about the message, the overall message that we've been talking in this video and the last video about the Lightworkers' mission and our roles now. Okay. Those who have the courage to stand up and speak what is in their heart often reach the hearts of others and give an opening for expression that might otherwise have remained hidden. Never be fearful of making a fool of oneself, for courage is admired and not ridiculed. May the wisdom guide my words, your words, my child. And that's the Brotherhood of 9. That's the 9. So that's exactly with the message that we came on here to deliver, to encourage other light workers to start to speak up, share their arts, share their music, share their poetry. We're an omni small platform, and so is Paula, but if you sub us, we'll share your stuff if we resonate, and we'll get a platform for you. Use us, help us help you.
Right, and we can become each other's platform. It's like the round table. Everyone's got a voice, a place at the
Exactly.
table.
So I think should we call this one
Yeah, yep.
part 2? We'll maybe do this one, another one next week, and see how
Yeah,
people
that
like it.
sounds
So
great.
if you like it, thumbs up. If you thumbs it up, it gets more eyes on it, and hopefully Deep State might watch it and like it and get rid of our channels.
Right?
That'd be so cool, wouldn't it? Like, yes.
Come on.
Have a fight. No.
We love
Okay.
you.
Anyway, I love your
Okay.
peace.
Bye bye.
Bye.